Let me ask you something. What if everything you thought you knew about INFJs was a load of hooey? Are they shy, reserved, or just, picky when it comes to relationships? Forget about it. It's way deeper than that. INFJs crave something that'll shock you, a delicate freaking balance of connection and space, love and freedom. And in this video, we're diving headfirst into what INFJs emotionally and intellectually crave, uncovering truths that nobody even talks about. Stick around, see if I care, and discover why INFJs might just be the most complex and fascinating people you'll ever meet. You ain't gonna want to miss this, trust me. So check this out. The craving for space. Why being smothered is a deal breaker. I mean, seriously. Alright, let's rap about one of the most misunderstood things about INFJs. They need space, and not just a little, but a freaking galaxy of it. Now, I know what you're thinking, but they're all emotional and deep, so they must want constant attention and all that jazz, right? Wrong. INFJs love a good connection, but they also need their space. It's not about you, it's a survival thing. Picture this. You try pouring water from a cup that's already full. Ain't gonna work, right? Well, that's how INFJs feel when they're always around people with zero time to chill. If an INFJ is always in social situations, always being needed or asked for their energy, they feel like they're drowning, capiche? But here's the kicker. They're not drowning because they don't love you. They're drowning because they can't process everything happening around them without a moment of peace. It's not about being distant or playing games. INFJs ain't jerking you around. They're wired different, and just like introverts need their alone time to recharge, INFJs need it even more. Think of it as their emotional reset button. When you give them the time to breathe and think, they come back with even more energy, love, and attention than before. Alright, so here's where things get a little quirky, see? INFJs, they can seem like they're totally all in, right? Like they're super connected, totally present. But then, poof, they bail, vanish. It's like some kind of magic act, but I swear it ain't a trick. That's just how they roll. And when they flake, it ain't because they're bored. It's because they gotta, emotionally reboot. They need that alone time to get their head straight, figure out their feelings, and prep for round 2 of deep connection. Let's be real here, the thought of being totally alone, for some people that's nightmare fuel. But for an INFJ, it's like stumbling on a freaking gold mine. They eat that stuff up. They need the space to think, read, scribble, or just, stare out the window and ponder the meaning of life in peace. That's where the magic happens. Creativity goes wild, the mental health gets a tune-up, and the emotional batteries fully charged. But here's the kicker. If you're the type who needs to be all up in their grill 24/7, demanding constant closeness, instant intimacy, that's when the INFJ starts to feel like they're in a cage. They want to connect deep down, but they can't do that with you breathing down their neck every second. It's like dating a cat. Loving, affectionate, always there when it matters, but just as quick to bail for a cat nap in the sun when they feel like it. So, you're dating an INFJ, huh? Don't get all worked up when they say they need some alone time, alright? I mean, instead of thinking they're dumping you, see it as like a good thing. They trust you enough to show their weirder side. They just need space to, think, process, and come back to the relationship without losing their minds. It ain't about being distant. It's about them not going totally bonkers. And when they do come back, trust me, they'll bring all their baggage, feelings. It's a delicate dance, folks. And it's how you figure out the INFJ heart. So, next time your INFJ friend ghosts you for a bit, don't freak. Just be cool and let them recharge. They might even come back with a whole new level of weirdness to share. Alright, secondly, the yearning for real talk. None of that how about this weather garbage. Ever try making small talk with an INFJ? Like pulling teeth, I'm telling you. Because small talk, they can't stand it. Like a paper cut to the soul, pointless, irritating, and just sucks the life right out of you. Nah, these INFJs, they're all about those deep, philosophical, sometimes heavy chats that get into the nitty-gritty of life, the universe, everything, the real stuff. So what's that mean for you, huh? If you're dating an INFJ or your friends or just trying to get in good with them, you better be ready to go deep. And I ain't talking about deep diving into your latest TV obsession or, your favorite slice. INFJs want to talk about the big stuff. Existential dread, dreams, fears, and those weird little things that make life, life. If your chat feels like something you could have with some rando at Starbucks, you're going to lose them fast. So picture this, you're stuck at some party, right? And everybody's yapping about the weather, their weekend, and, I don't know, the profound philosophical implications of frosted flakes. If you're an INFJ, that's like emotional waterboarding. You're doing time in a social penitentiary. Instead of mingling, they're mentally phoning it in, wishing they could find someone who can actually hold a conversation that goes below sea level. INFJs, they want to dissect your thoughts, your beliefs, your phobias, your obsessions. They need like intellectual Red Bull to feel a connection. Otherwise, they're going to feel like they're burning daylight. Now let's keep it real. If you think you can wow an INFJ by talking about the humidity or sharing some TMZ grade gossip, you might want to punt that idea into the East River. INFJs need a partner who's willing to show their cards. They want to know about your deepest, darkest fears, your childhood fantasies, your most insane thoughts, and what keeps you up at night. That's the kind of connection they're chasing. So get this, INFJs, they're like the grandmasters of these gab fests. They ain't just shooting the breeze. They want to lock horns with you on a level that messes with both your heads. An INFJ, they'll listen like it's their job, ask questions that go for the jugular and stir up thoughts you didn't even know were hanging out in there. They live for this kind of brainy connection. It's their fuel. Without it, they're out of gas, like a houseplant dying for some sunshine. But, and this is key, while INFJs dig deep chats, they ain't always looking for a yes man. They want someone who can toss a curveball into the mix. They want to get their brain flexed, not just hear their own thoughts echoed back at them. So, if you're always playing it safe and never bringing nothing new to the table, they might just check out. INFJs, they're all about someone who can push back, ask the tough questions, and bust up their thought process. It ain't about winning the argument, it's about the growth that happens when two brains get together and see the world from different sides of the street. Look, at the end of the day, INFJs don't just want to be heard, they want to be truly understood, you know? They want to know that you see their depth, their complexity, and that you're willing to dive into the dark corners of their mind without fear or judgment. So, if you ever find yourself talking to an INFJ, don't shy away from the tough stuff. Don't just skim the surface, go deep. That's where the magic happens, believe me. So next time you're with an INFJ, ask them the questions that matter. Dive into the subjects that most people avoid. The weather? Forget about it. But the meaning of life? Now we're talking. And if you're lucky, you might just end up with an unforgettable conversation that leaves both of you feeling a little bit more connected to the universe. Thirdly, the patience thing, trust issues, you can't ignore them. Alright, so let's get into one of the real fun parts of the INFJ personality, the trust issues. If you're hanging with an INFJ, romantically, platonically, whatever, you probably get the picture by now. They ain't giving out trust like it's candy on Halloween. Trust, that's earned, pal, and it ain't happening overnight. Now you might be thinking, but they're so nice, so caring, so wide open when they finally let you in. Yeah, that's true. But get this, INFJs, they've been torched before. They've been let down, misunderstood, stabbed in the back in ways that hit harder than they let on. So they're real careful about letting anyone into the VIP section of their soul. INFJs are deep divers emotionally, and when they decide to trust you, it's like they're handing over their heart. And not the tough outer shell, but the gooey, fragile part. It's huge. So what's it mean for you? Well, if you're the kind of person who wants instant connection or expects an INFJ to spill their guts on date number 1, you're going to be waiting a while. It ain't that they don't like you. It ain't some kind of game. It's just how they're wired. Trusting someone takes time, a lot of time. INFJs don't dive headfirst into emotional stuff. They got to watch, check you out, see if you're on the level before they drop the walls completely. So here's the deal. INFJs, they ain't just messing with you for kicks. They're checking for a safe landing. They got to know that when they spill their guts, their soft spots won't get twisted, brushed off, or used as ammo. They've been burned before, and they ain't looking for a repeat. It's like holding onto some rare, fragile flower that needs time to pop. And you better treat it right if you want to see it bloom, you know? But get this, INFJs actually want to trust you. They're starving for that real, deep connection where they can just let go and be themselves. But they need a minute. They need you to give them the time and space to sort through their feelings without rushing them. Pushing just makes them clam up, And the more you push, the more they bail. It's like some emotional tug of war, but if you hang back and give them room, you'll eventually meet in the middle where trust can grow, you know? Now, you might be thinking, but I'm ready now, what's the holdup? Well, here's the truth. INFJs, they're like emotional architects. They build trust slow, brick by brick. Every little move, every word, every moment that shows you're consistent and care, it strengthens the base of that trust. It's slow, it's careful, and yeah, it can be annoying if you ain't patient. But trust me, when an INFJ decides to open up, it's the real deal. Alright, so check this out. An INFJ, they're like a cat, right? But one that's been, over-pet by every Tom, Dick and Harry on the street. The first time you try to give them a little scratch behind the ears, they're going to flinch, give you the stink eye and bolt. But hey, give them a minute. If you're consistent, gentle, don't come on too strong, eventually they'll curl up next to you, start purring like a motor. They've got to feel safe first. And once they do, you got yourself one of the most loyal, loving companions you could ask for. But here's the kicker. If you're impatient, need that instant emotional fix, you're going to hit a brick wall with an INFJ. Slow and steady, that's their speed. Anything too fast, too forceful, they're going to clam up, retreat back into their shell. So you want to really connect with an INFJ? Let them come to you on their own time. Show them you're willing to wait, and they'll give you a level of trust most people only dream about. Bottom line, INFJs, they're not playing games. They just know the value of guarding their hearts, and they need someone who gets that. You're willing to put in the work. That patience is going to pay off big time, in a bond that's tighter than Fort Knox. All right, settle down, folks. We got more. Fourthly, the old craving for neutrality in disagreements. Turns out they need intellectual respect. Let me tell you, one of the most important things an INFJ needs from a relationship is intellectual respect. And no, I ain't talking about agreeing with them all the time. These INFJs, they ain't looking for a yes man. They're looking for someone who can challenge them, hold their own, and still respect their viewpoint. So, what does that mean? Well, it means that debates with an INFJ are not about winning. They're about connecting and growing. Picture this, see? You and an INFJ are in the middle of an intense discussion about, your favorite topics. Maybe philosophy, psychology, or something deeply personal. Now, an INFJ is all about having these meaningful exchanges. But if you start making them feel like you're just trying to win the argument, their interest, forget about it. It'll start to fade faster than you can say debate. To an INFJ, the point of an intellectual discussion is to understand different perspectives, not to turn the conversation into a battle of egos. They crave neutrality in disagreements, not one-sided arguments. Now here's where things get real interesting, see? INFJs? They love a good brain teaser, but they ain't looking for some wise guy trying to bust their chops just for kicks. They dig someone who can go a few rounds in the intellectual ring, Toss out the tough questions, the wildcard views, and some counter-arguments that make you think. But keep it classy, pal. You can scrap with them, but show some respect for their brain power and bam, you're golden. So what's the big deal with staying neutral? Think about it. INFJs, they're deep in the feels, but they're also sharp as a tack. Their head and heart are always doing the tango. So when they're arguing their point, they want to feel like they're being heard, respected, understood. Not like they're getting steamrolled or forced to swallow someone else's line of bull. INFJs ain't just about proving they're right. They want the whole shebang to feel like everyone's winning. That means how you say it is just as important as what you say. You can't just dump your 2 cents on them and expect them to play along. They want to see you've put some thought into it and that you think their opinion is worth something too. So, it's like walking a tightrope, right? You got to engage with them on a mental level, but also respect their feelings, They can handle a difference of opinion, but only if it's done thoughtful and respectful. Push too hard and boom, emotionally attacked. Take the time to listen, engage, and you might just find yourself in a conversation that leaves you both with new insights, deeper connection. And here's the funny part. INFJs, they seem like the quiet type, easy to persuade, but get them talking about something they care about. Forget about it. Intellectual storm. They'll challenge your ideas, push your boundaries, make you think in ways you never have before. But here's the kicker. You don't respect their views during that exchange. They'll shut down faster than you can say invalid argument. It's not personal, it's just how they operate, But, and here's where it gets really interesting, if you can navigate those discussions with maturity, understanding, you've unlocked one of the most rewarding aspects of a relationship with an INFJ. They're not looking for someone to agree with them all the time. They're looking for someone who respects the fact that their thoughts, ideas have value, even when you don't agree. So what do INFJs, those quirky characters, crave in an intellectual tete-a-tete? Neutrality, respect, and the freedom to bounce around new ideas without getting the third degree. They need someone who can roll with them intellectually without trying to, sell them the Brooklyn Bridge or make them feel like they're nuts. If you can cough that up, you're giving them the space to actually loosen up, and trust me, when an INFJ lets you into their mental penthouse, it's a whole new ball game. Fifthly, and I can't stress this enough, it's all about the secret desire to be truly seen, beyond the surface level BS. Let's get real here for a sec, all right? INFJs, they don't just want to be seen, they want to be truly seen. And I'm talking way beyond the nice hair or great smile kind of compliments. These INFJs are like the most complex, layered people you're ever going to meet. And what they really crave is someone who can look past their calm, composed exterior and recognize the depth of who they are. And no, this ain't about wanting constant praise or attention, all right? It's about being understood at a soul level. Imagine trying to explain something important to someone, and instead of listening deeply, they give you a quick, "Oh, I get it," before moving on to the next topic. That's got to be the worst feeling for an INFJ. It's like being invisible in a room full of people, talking, but nobody really hearing you. INFJs, they long for someone who can see the layers of their personality, the introspective thinker, the emotional empath, the creative visionary, and, the quirky, imperfect human beneath it all. They're not looking for someone to admire their exterior. They're looking for someone who can peel back the layers, gently and patiently, and truly understand what makes them tick. This isn't an easy thing for INFJs to let anyone do. Why? Because they've been hurt before. They've been overlooked, misunderstood, or even dismissed by people who couldn't or wouldn't take the time to truly get to know them. So they often put up walls, sometimes unknowingly, to protect themselves from that kind of emotional pain. But when they find someone who's willing to invest the time and energy to see them for who they really are, that's when the magic happens. Here's the funny part. INFJs will often test you, not because they want to play games, but because they want to know you're genuinely interested in seeing them. They may drop hints, share something personal, or reveal a vulnerable side of themselves just to see how you respond. If you take it seriously, listen carefully, and show empathy, they'll feel like they've found a rare treasure. But if you brush them off or dismiss what they've shared, they'll feel emotionally dismissed, and it'll be a long time before they open up again. INFJs have a finely tuned radar for when someone is truly there for them, and when they sense that you see them, really see them, they'll open up in ways you never imagined. But let's be clear, they're not looking for perfection. INFJs understand that people have flaws, insecurities, and baggage. They're not expecting you to be flawless, but they do expect you to be real with them. They want someone who can accept their flaws, just as they will accept yours. So when you let your guard down, INFJs will see that vulnerability and value it deeply. It's this mutual acceptance and understanding that creates a bond that feels almost spiritual, a connection that transcends the physical and emotional. So if you're wondering why an INFJ doesn't seem to open up to you right away, or why they sometimes seem distant, it's because they're waiting for someone to truly see them. They want someone who will look beyond their carefully constructed walls and understand the real them, someone who doesn't just take the time to listen, but someone who listens with the intent to truly understand. Here's a little secret. The INFJ personality is all about connection. They might be introverted, but they crave meaningful, authentic relationships. They don't want to waste time with people who can't see them for who they are, which is why they take their time to choose who they let in. If they believe you're someone who can see them on a deeper level, they'll invest everything into that relationship. They'll show up for you in ways you never expected. And when an NFJ loves, it's a deep, unwavering, and rare kind of love. So if you're lucky enough to be on the receiving end of an NFJ's trust, understand that they're not just letting you into their lives, they're letting you into their soul. It's an honor, and it's something that doesn't come easily for them. Appreciate it, nurture it, and you'll find yourself with one of the most loyal, loving, and deeply connected people you could ever ask for. All right, so point 6, emotional safety, the INFJ's biggest deal breaker. So listen, let's get real about something crucial for INFJs, emotional safety. They don't just spill their guts to anyone who'll listen. They've been burned before, so they're super careful about who gets a VIP pass to their inner thoughts. I mean, think about it. If you're holding on to a secret, you're going to shout it from the rooftops? Nah, you got to trust the person, right? INFJs, same thing. Their feelings are like Fort Knox level secure, and they got to know they're safe. No judgment, no rejection. So they test the waters, slowly showing a little vulnerability and seeing how you react. If you disrespect it, they're out of there, right back into their shell. They're like emotional turtles. If the world feels too loud or threatening, they retreat. But if you create a safe space, they'll start to come out slowly, at their own pace. No pressure. INFJs are sensitive, not fragile. They need someone who gets that. So, here's the deal. INFJs, they might seem chill, but they're dialed into their feelings, you know? When they finally spill the beans, it's kind of a big freaking deal. You've basically got a backstage pass to their heart. But like, if you blow off their feelings, they're going to start building Fort Knox all over again. It's not a freaking game, it's just self-preservation, you dig, their whole emotional safety thing. It's not about being a control freak, it's about making a space where they can just be themselves without getting judged. But once they feel safe, fucked about it, they're the most loving, supportive partners you'll ever meet. But that trust, it takes time, believe me. So if you're hanging with an INFJ, patience is your best friend. Don't push them to open up, alright? Make it a safe space, and eventually they'll show you their heart in ways you won't even see coming. And when they do, you've just unlocked one of the most insane connections you'll ever experience. Alright, so seventhly, the craving for acceptance INFJs want you to love them for who they are. Let me wrap this up with one of the big ones for the INFJ, alright? Acceptance. These folks ain't looking for a fixer-upper, see? They want the full package deal, loved for who they are, flaws and all. And trust me, there's a lot of flaws. They got these high standards, borderline perfectionist, but when it comes to, relationships, they just want someone who gets their quirks, their meltdowns, all that touchy-feely crap. INFJs, they might seem chill, but inside, forget about it. Complex, sensitive, a real mess. They need someone who sees the whole shebang, not just the easy stuff. You can handle the imperfections, the weird habits, all that garbage. Boom, you got them for life. They'll love you just as hard, accepting your junk and loving you no matter what. Look, here's the deal. INFJs, they ain't looking for someone who just puts up with them. Nah, they want someone who really gets them, No phoniness, no judging. They got to feel safe in the relationship, like they're loved for who they really are, without having to put on an act or hide who they are. Give them that, and you'll unlock one of the most loyal partners you could ever imagine. So, if you're with an INFJ or hoping to be, remember this. Love them for who they really are. Embrace their deep feelings, their quirks, and what makes them one of a kind. Do that, and you'll get a connection that's like nothing else. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you agree with these cravings? Or do you think INFJs have other hidden desires? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insights into the INFJ world. See you in the next video.